Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for October 6, 2015. Please rise so we can begin the meeting with the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Brasky? I'm sorry, Mr. Rocco?
The other Jeff. The other Jeff.
Rocco.
Let the record show Mr. Rocco is away on business. His work requires him to be out of town quite a bit, so he's probably following us on YouTube at some point and later on after the meeting's posted. I want to begin our meeting as we start here in October. There's always a lot of attention paid to fire prevention, and so we asked our Fire Marshal, Rich DiPolito, to be here just to give us an idea of some of the things going on in terms of the local fire companies and also any kind of safety tips he might have to pass on that his brother may have told him about.
Well, thanks, and I'll start with, yes, I am standing up, Jeff.
Oh, good one. Well, we could have gotten you a milk crate, Pete.
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation to attend the meeting tonight. As everyone knows, it is Fire Prevention Week. Started last Sunday. It'll run through this weekend. The 3 township fire departments will each hold their own open house. The dates are as follows. Farrell's Hills will be the first one on Thursday night this week, 10/8 from 6:30 to 8:30. Falls Fire Company on Yardley Avenue in Fallsington, they'll be Saturday 10/10 from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. And Levittown number 1 on Falls Tullytown will be the following day on Sunday, 10/11 from 10 to 1. This year's theme for fire prevention is Hear the Beat Where You Sleep. Every bedroom needs a working smoke alarm. As a reminder, every home should have a working smoke detector in every bedroom. Roughly half of the home fire deaths that occur in the United States happen overnight between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people are asleep, so it's very important that you do have smoke detectors to wake you. By code, you're supposed to have a smoke detector in every bedroom and one outside each bedroom in the hallway approaching, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of your home, including the basement. It's very important you even have one in the basement, and larger homes obviously may need more than that. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold here. Fire Marshal's office, which consists of myself and 2 full-time inspectors and 1 part-time inspector. One of our primary jobs is going around and helping people that need smoke detectors. We do participate in the Channel 6 Save a Life with Kiddos smoke detectors. They donate smoke detectors to each municipality that participates, and we can use them to go out and install them in each home. We've participated in this as long as I can remember here, and as of this point, we've used all the ones that were given to us this year. If you do need one, though, please call my office. I'll find some. I'll get them somewhere, and we'll be happy to come install them in your home. We also offer that if you have smoke detectors but need the batteries changed twice a year, you provide the batteries, I'll send the manpower, and we'll change the batteries for you. It's something we offer. We're happy to do it. We'd much rather see you have working smoke detectors than, God forbid, something happen in your home. It's just one of the ways we try and keep our residents safe. We do this yearly. We also go around and inspect businesses every year. That's to keep the business people safe from any kind of fire hazards that we may find. To date, we've probably done about 800 business inspections. We do that every year. So these are just different ways that we try and go around every year and keep everybody safe, whether at home or in the workplace. So that's all I had for tonight, unless we have any questions. And if you do need something from my office, the number's 215-949-9000. My extension's 250, or my email address, which is too long to provide, but it's rdipolito@fallstwp.org. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to preach again about fire prevention. Everyone's invited at all 3 fire companies. I mean, I know they'd love to see everybody out there. So if anybody have any questions or any comments, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions, board members?
No.
No.
None.
No?
good?
Thank you, Richard, appreciate
Okay,
it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment? No names on the sheet here. Is anybody who came in later that is interested in public comment? No? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to item 2, which is a certificate of appropriateness for 53 Old Locust Avenue. This is to install a 6-foot red cedar fence along the side of the property. I see the property owners are here. I've spoken with them a couple times about this, and I know they've also gone before our Historic Review Board, and they have given their approval. And they provided, the homeowners provided photographs, a lot of photographs actually, of their property and where the fence would be, a tax map, as well as a photo of the fence that they would like to have installed. So I don't know if there's comments or questions on behalf of board members.
No. I have none.
No, the pictures were great.
Okay.
I understand it.
All right, then if there is no any other discussion or questions, is there a motion then to approve the certificate of appropriateness, 53 Old Locust Avenue in Fallsington for a 6-foot red cedar fence?
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 3 is consider adopting an ordinance amending Chapter 209, Section 7, to amend the zoning map by rezoning certain lands identified tax map parcel 13020306 from NCR, which is Neighborhood Conservation Residential, to IN, which is Institutional District. This is the former St. Joseph, part of former St. Joseph the Worker property that's being rezoned. Mr. Hecker here, as well as Mr. McGrath, Mr. Flanagan, Monsignor McCormick is also here. So, Mr. Gray, I think I took all your thunder. There's nothing much left for you to do, is there?
Mr. Harvey, one
Yes.
correction. The property at issue tonight for the rezoning is actually owned by the Walsh
Oh, it's
family.
the Walsh family, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay, right, all right. All right, so, Mr. Hecker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. We're here tonight for your consideration of this request to rezone this property, which is approximately 1 acre. It's rectangular in shape and is owned, obviously, as noted already, by the Walsh family. Mr. McGrath and Mr. Flanagan, in connection with the proposal to redevelop the former St. Joseph the Worker parish property for combination of townhouses and apartments, also put under agreement this property. And while we have gone back and forth a couple of times with regard to the appropriate zoning district, the decision was ultimately made that we would leave the St. Joseph's property zoned as it's currently zoned, the IN Institutional District. And the result of that was that the hashed area here, which represents the Walsh property, which is the property before the board this evening, requesting that that be rezoned from its current zoning, which is NCR, to the institutional district. So at the end of the day, the entire St. Joseph's property and this property would be under the single zoning classification of IN. And that district allows for the development of a adult community. I know the board has seen this plans a couple of times. This is still the concept plan, not the fully engineered plan. But what we're proposing with this development, and in particular this area here, as you can see by the addition of the Walsh parcel, squares the property off. 76 townhouse units and 2 apartment buildings, although we have since determined that the one apartment will be turned so they'll be facing parallel with each other. There'd be 2-story buildings of 24 units, a total of 48 units. Permitted under the institutional zoning. And the next step in the process, if the board concludes to rezone this evening, would be to submit land development plans very shortly, because we've done a lot of work in engineering to move in that direction for the purpose of developing this community. I know you have seen on previous occasions. The concept, this is the proposed entranceway for this development. As you can see, it's got a very distinctive entrance feature, heavily landscaped, with the brick pillars, black fencing, and obviously the name that we've chosen with the assistance of Monsignor Cormick, St. Joseph's Court. This plan shows the apartment buildings, which, I'm sorry, yeah, this is the townhouse buildings. Again, upscale, very nice appearance, we think will add to the aesthetics of the area. And the apartment buildings, which, as I mentioned, actually are parallel with each other on this plan, which are being proposed to match architecturally the style of the townhouses. So as this project hopefully moves forward, it's an age-restricted community, provide for a clubhouse, and the members of the community will consist of both the townhouse owners as well as the people who reside in the apartments. We think it's a great concept, as I think I have told this board on previous occasions. Unfortunately, it might have been, maybe I didn't qualify for this community when we first started this project, but I probably do now. I know I do now. But the population in Bucks County continues to age. We have, I think, if I remember my statistics from St. Mary's Medical Center, we have the second oldest population in Bucks County, in Pennsylvania, right here in Bucks County. And what we have found is that people who have lived in a community for a long time don't necessarily want to move out and move to another state. They want to be around their families, a lot of them. And this affords longtime Falls Township residents the opportunity to do that at a great environment. So we hope that you think that this plan is a good one and will approve the requests that we have before you this evening. Any questions you have, happy to try to answer them. And as you noted, Mr. McGrath and Mr. Flanagan are here and be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay. All right, so what we're doing tonight, thank you, Mr. Hecker, appreciate that. The background and also the visual, because I've had people ask me, what's it going to look like, what are the big homes going to look like, and how's it going to be situated. So I appreciate the visuals that you brought. What we're doing this evening, of course, is not approving an entire plan. As you said, you haven't submitted any kind of land development. Just simply taking one piece of the perspective plan, which is now currently owned by, excuse me, by a family, and rezoning that so it matches everything else. So, comments or questions from board members, then we'll open up to the public comment as well. Mr. Galloway?
No, it's pretty clear. No questions.
Okay. Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
None.
Okay. Any members of the public? All right, see no hands. All right, so this would be ordinance 15-7. Okay. Which again would change the zoning from neighborhood conservation residential to institutional district on that one piece of property on New Falls Road. Right. If there's any more comments or questions from board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded for ordinance 1507. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We look forward to working with you on a development project next. Thank you.
Okay. Items 4 and 5, I think will probably make sense to maybe think about combining here, at least to combine the discussion, since both of them center on the issue of 3 arches and prospective work to be done on renovating. We have had bids come, or a bid come in, or a quote basically from one company, 18th Century Restorations Incorporated. We got that, I'm trying to remember exactly when this came into us. Actually came in late last year, or almost about a year ago, actually. Now that I'm looking at it again, looking at the date. And we're looking at ways to sort of move forward and how best to move forward with this. And I know the board has some sort of different opinions about what do we move forward on, how we move forward. There's also some legal issues because there are bidding thresholds. We can't just sort of go out and hire somebody to do work if it's over a certain quantity, a certain amount of money, and this is over that amount of money. But there are different kind of criteria where sometimes it is allowed. For example, if it's on the CoStar's state bid list, then it would be allowed. Another sort of area where this might fall into is the issue of sort of specialty work. If this is the kind of work that isn't just done by everybody, where you can go out to bid, but you're only going to get one bid anyway because there's no really isn't any more two bids because there isn't anybody who does this. So I guess what we want to do is have a discussion about moving forward. Or on our agenda, we have consider authorization for advertisement for exterior painting. That was an area that Ms. Gallagher, working with Mr. Sullivan, thought that could be sort of split out from the original quote that we had, and we could sort of split that off and do that separately, since it's not really, painting is obviously something that many people do, many businesses do. It's not necessarily that specialized, even though it is with an older building, and there's some care that has to be taken. Whereas the rest of the work, do we look at it in just with the quote we have, or do we consider authorizing advertisement on the rest of that to see what other quotes we can get? So Mr. Andrews is here from our Park and Rec Director, so I don't know if you wanted to say a few words and we can have some discussion. Or
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. I actually did bring Mr. Cessna from 18th Century Restorations here to answer any questions about the specifics of the proposal. He could probably give you a little more background on exactly, it's more in-depth questions. So I'm aware of, possibly, bidding out, the painting portion of that. I became aware of that. But I'd like to invite him up here if you would like to ask him some questions too on that, if that's all right.
so board members?
Fine.
Okay, sure. Come on.
Mr. Harvey, if I may, the other thing that would have to be pulled out of this as not a professional service would be the sump pump repair.
Right.
The what?
Sump pump.
The sump pump?
Are we talking about painting the exterior or the interior or both?
I think it's all
The
exterior.
exterior.
work was
It's all
what we're
exterior.
looking at. Yeah,
It was what?
exterior. All right.
Did you ask me a question? I'm Wesley Sessa.
You have to, sorry, I have to speak.
I
up.
represent 18th Century Restoration Incorporated. We're from Chester County, Pennsylvania. We've been in business since 1984. And we work for museums, Pennsylvania State Historical and Museum Commission, municipalities, Friends Group, which support Quaker buildings, and private homeowners who have antique houses. It's our mission, it's our passion. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, all right. Questions for Mr. Sessa or Mr. Andrews, or even, I guess, Ms. Gallagher or Mr. Sullivan, or we can ask almost anybody here. Since,
It's a team effort tonight.
Yeah, it's a team effort tonight. So, Mr. Galloway, questions or concerns?
I wouldn't know how to question what you do. I think it's an interesting work, but no questions, thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
I mean, the only thing I have at this point, I know I expressed my concern at the last meeting, and I know I talked to our solicitor, to me, it's just a lot of money, you know what I mean? I don't think, it's nothing about the company, I just, I saw the quote go from $71,000 to $92,000, and I really think that kind of work we should be putting out the bid. I don't know the history of it, I didn't get anything other than their quote from the township. No other bids we've ever gotten, no history behind it, trying to get other contractors. So just at this time, not that I'm against the project, I'm just not for awarding it to 18th Century.
Okay. Mr. Dents?
The history, I want to go back into the history of this project. We knew that there was repair work that needed to be done. I think even before I was on this board, we've looked for people to repair shutters. The rain gutters was a big thing. And just finding people to do the work is a project itself. I know that we talked to a few people that do restorations since I've been on this board that, either were not interested in bidding, that it wasn't, their type of work to come through and just look at what we needed, that didn't want to do it. But Mr. Cessna, I was at Three Arches with Mr. Andrews when we all met, and he basically walked through the building, and it was a pretty good learning experience for myself and Mr. Andrews. He pointed out things that we didn't even know and showed us, things that could be potential issues down the road on top of things that we knew that needed to be done. So he basically provided us with this Chinese menu, if you would, of repairs and problems at the building. Not necessarily problems, but it's more maintenance stuff and preventive maintenance than anything. When you have a building this old, you know, there's a lot of upkeep involved. There's a lot of windows that are leaking that need repair on top of the shutters and the cosmetic stuff that you're not even going to notice was fixed or repaired, and when they're done, that just needs to be done. I know that there was a local guy that came and he did the roof a few years ago, and he called me and said, I just don't want to do it, I can't do it. And that's when Mr. Cessna came in. He actually called us back, came out, and gave us a price, and is ready to do it. I don't know how much luck we would have looking for someone else to do this type of work. It's definitely specialty type of work, especially taking apart the windows that are very, very old, glass, stuff like that. That's a lot of the history that I know of the project and the building and what needs to be done. There are a few things like the shutters that we know. We've been through the shutters back and forth with T&M over the years. We had a few people give us prices that were much higher than this. You know, the rake boards that need replacing, stuff like that. There is some damage to the roof when we were in the attic that he pointed out that was repaired, but that wasn't prepared correctly. That really needs to be addressed because it's causing a leak into the second floor window, ceiling if you're in the back of the building. So, you know, there's a lot of, all that stuff's addressed here. I mean, the price, I don't know. We have nothing to compare it to, I agree.
But that's my only issue. I'm not denying that all that work needs to be done and that the place
Right.
is in disarray. I've been there, but
I mean, you can put this at the bid. I'd be surprised if anybody even responded at the way people are working right now.
the other question I had was if we're going to call it specialty and we would potentially award them, why are we concerned about prevailing rate? If we're concerned especially, we're not going to put it out to bid.
Well, the painting has to go out to bid because it doesn't fall into that category of professional services. So that has to go out to bid, and it's going to be subject to your responsible contractor ordinance. The language that was in the prior contract was just something that raised a red flag for us and that we indicated could be problematic. But as far as the professional services work, the board can approve that.
So that's what my question is about this work. This doesn't fall under the RCO?
The RCO is triggered anytime you spend $10,000 or more on a project. I don't know that anything that's listed, with the exception of the painting, would trigger any of the RCO requirements. Mr. Sullivan could probably answer that.
RCO requirement?
Responsible contractor ordinance?
Okay.
Yeah. I guess one of the questions I had, if we were to put this out to bid, I'm assuming, you know, we've done obviously a lot of bids over the years, but this is sort of different where we don't just want anybody who's, you know, got a power saw in the back of their truck to say, you know.
Exactly.
Right, yeah,
You
somebody
raised
like,
his hand before I
somebody,
even
yeah,
had to say
Mr.
it.
yeah, Fire Chief, Fire Marshal DiPolito put his hand up, that's the perfect example. You know, we don't just want anybody to put a bid in, and so is there a way, can you write a bid so that it addresses someone who has experience with this kind of work, that, you know, that we're pulling in some kind of somebody that has experience with, you know, older homes or older buildings of this nature? Is that possible?
The work that's listed, and Mr. Sullivan might be able to comment on this a little bit better, but the work that's listed requires a certain level of expertise. Once you do go out to bid, you obviously have to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder. So if the successful bidder can prove that they are able to perform the work as listed, then it would have to go to the lowest responsible bidder.
Well, I mean, the specification be written like we normally do, that they have completed projects of a similar nature with similar expertise, what their list of tools, equipment, and expertise is. That would be easy to put in the specification.
And perhaps I might illuminate a few things.
You have to use the microphone, sorry. So you have to use the microphone.
All right, okay. Perhaps I might be able to illuminate a few things. I've been on both sides of your dais. I used to be a chairman of my board of supervisors in a Chester County Township, East Nantmeal, and I'm quite aware of the prevailing wage routine. Having been a contractor serving municipalities and nonprofits in the state of Pennsylvania and the federal government, I'm quite aware of the protocol necessary. And normally when we attend a pre-bid meeting, we only get access to that pre-bid meeting because we meet the state of Pennsylvania's Historical and Museum Commission's criteria for having experience in so many different trades: carpentry, masonry, roof work, painting, and we are required to list the artisan, employee, the jobs he's worked on for similar projects. The architect has to approve them, and you don't even get to that pre-bid meeting unless you make it through that particular criteria. And I'm used to doing that. Having said that, with our secretary, Debbie, filling out these forms and gaining us the admission, and of course, we're sometimes invited to those pre-bid meetings because we're pre-qualified by the state of Pennsylvania's Historical Museum Commission, I sometimes stand there waiting for the other contractors to show up. Well, sometimes this work is just too tedious. Not that a good carpenter doesn't have the skill set to do it, he just doesn't want to deal with the protocol, with the inspections, with the due diligence, with the retainage, with the 60-day pay. So you have to be a company of a particular size to be able to make it through sort of an endurance test. And of course, you have to have the skill set and the track record. So our company certainly has that, and I'm not here to promote my company. I think I'm here because this fellow, Brian, has reached out to us over the years, and we've been responding and communicating. The last project that is like this that we did, we just finished for East Whiteland Township, Chester County. It's almost the identical job. The township bought farmland, they made it a park, they inherited a farmhouse, they want to maintain it. They just put the bid out perhaps in early May. They had a $50,000 budget. The architect told me that, and I said, well, it's going to be considerably more than that, but I'll give you a bid for $50,000 for part of it. And he said, give me a bid for the rest of it too. And we did. At a Board of Supervisors meeting in East Whiteland Township, they looked at it and said, it's been 12 years since anybody touched this building. They approved both. We finished the process, and you can call Stephen Miller, the building inspector, and see how he likes working with us. We've restored some of the oldest buildings in Chester County, and in your community, worked on Hope Lodge, Washington Crossing, buildings in Princeton. I'm at the governor's mansion in Princeton right now. So basically, we're a small company, hands-on, we're passionate, we know our stuff. Your project really requires cyclical preservation maintenance. No one is changing anything. That's why you don't need an architect. You're not changing the design. You're not changing a window to a door or a door to a window. You're not changing the roof pitch. You're not doing anything structural. You're simply preserving the house like you would your own. Every 7 to 10 years, you paint your house. Every 7 or 10 years, the painter says, got to get the carpenter here. You have a rotted windowsill. That's what this is. It's preservation maintenance. Concerning the paint job and isolating it, first of all, the paint job is $24,000 for one reason, because I had a bid at prevailing wage. Number two, it's under $25,000. Separate it, it doesn't have to be prevailing wage, and it could be $17,000 or $18,000. I think painting should be done with carpentry because in an antique house, the interfacing areas between window sash, the glass, the putty, the paint, the track, the lock, you just don't do all the carpentry and then call the painter. The painter prepares, discovers the issue. The carpenter solves it. You work hand in glove throughout as a team. If you chose your own painter, I'd be happy to work with him or her, whoever it is. But I just want to let you know that the painting doesn't come later. It comes with, together.
How do you bid that? I mean, how do you put a bid spec together for painting where you're going to be on standby working with these carpenters?
Well, once a bid is awarded to a painter, then he works closely with our historical guy here. And that's part of what is in his proposal, is coordinating with the painter.
Pete, can you touch on the difference in price from what the jump was all about?
Yes, the increase went from, I believe it was $71,000 to $92,000. That was submitted last year, and we're here a year later. In addition, the increase, I believe, is due to the prevailing wages that were.
So last year was bid with prevailing rate?
No.
No, it was not.
No.
So you didn't bid it with prevailing
No,
rate?
I put a disclaimer in it, which my attorney wrote, that simply said, this is what it would cost you if you're a homeowner or anybody. My first bid for 71 was without the rate. I was told on site by these gentlemen I had to do the rate. I'm happy to comply. We looked up the Bucks County carpenter rate, which is mostly what this is, and it's $64.50 an hour with benefits and everything, so I don't pay that, so I had to increase it.
And the prevailing,
I'm still
excuse me.
confused about the prevailing rate on a job that we're
Prevailing rate-
calling specific to this guy's.
It's for any,
Work.
you're right, and it's for any or for any public contract exceeding $25,000, the prevailing rate applies. Even though what he's providing is a specialty service,
Right.
it's still a carpenter, as he said, so.
And we're used to complying, we're used to the paperwork. You have to do payroll certifications. I just looked at the last one we did for the East Whiteland Township. We weren't even on that job 2 weeks ago. She still had to say, we weren't on that job. I still had to go to the Notary Public and get it signed, and still had to mail it FedEx. I mean, it's a lot of paperwork. But I had to do it, and I'm happy to do it. I'm all about the building.
Have you done work in Fallsington?
Absolutely. Currently working for Mr. Pendle on 21 Yardley Road. Worked across the street several times. I think I get the thrill of working in historic Fallsington once every 2 or 3 years. And now Mr. Pendle tells me he's passing me over to his neighbor. You can call Matt Pendle and ask him how he likes our crew.
And Mr. Sullivan and I were discussing, an alternative to going out to bid on this would be to go out to request for proposal for the historical work, because it is a professional service. Instead of doing bids, you could do the request for proposals, and perhaps other contractors would have other ideas of what needed to be done. You could compare proposals that way, along with the qualifications of any firm that submitted.
All right, yeah, because that was one of the things that, you mentioned a couple times, Mr. Sessa, the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission.
The
is that right?
Pennsylvania State Historical and Museum Commission in Harrisburg.
Okay.
They regulate buildings like Hope Lodge, Graham Park.
So you said you were, like, you're.
I'm on their pre-qualified, in other words, I no longer have to prove myself.
Right.
I've done it.
So I was wondering if we could write that, anybody who bids must be pre-qualified by, I'm not going to try and say that again, but.
Also, the last job I did for Valley Forge National Historical Park 2 years ago, we restored the entire exterior of the Matthews Mansion for the federal government. Had to pay the rate, happy to do so.
All of our road contractors must be pre-qualified by PennDOT, so it sounds like a similar process.
Just stop with being pre-qualified by anybody for road work. You're opening up a can of worms there. I can't believe you just said that. Stop.
Trying to make an analogy, sir.
But we can add it into either the bid specs or a proposal that went out, so.
I agree with Mr. Boraski. We want to make sure, obviously, we're hiring the right, people to do the job, and there's no question about Mr. Sessa's, abilities or his, the task he's accomplished in the past. But, it is obviously, it's a lot of money, and do we want to, I guess we have a couple options here. Do we want to, certainly we could go out to bid, and we could do it tonight. We could authorize advertisement to bid the whole thing tonight. We were allowed to do that. Or we could authorize advertisements for authorize requests for proposals for work of this nature. We've had enough discussion, I think it'll be clear.
And separately from that, you would have to bid the painting work.
And we'd have to bid the painting and the sump pump work.
Can I ask another question?
Sure,
real
absolutely.
quick?
Yeah.
So if we send it out for a request for proposal, do we have to take the lowest proposal?
No, because it's a professional service, so you'd be comparing qualifications of different firms that submit.
Because I think playing the other side of the coin, what bothers me about doing that too is the fact that this gentleman's put so much work into it and spent the time to do it. So
This
I'm
is what
afraid
this is what I do for a living. It's part of
that.
my overhead to do it, and I respect your willingness to be competitive. All contractors have to put time in to make presentations.
Right, but I'm saying you looked at the work. We're going to now tell people what the work is
times.
because we know. Right.
He's the one that told us what the work is.
I'm sticking up for the guy here. I'm trying to say.
No, I wish we could have all been at the meeting when he walked through and showed us all the issues.
I'm not saying that the lowest price or the highest price is the best price. I'm saying that I'd just like to see the other proposals. If it's nothing, it's nothing. If it's 3 other proposals and he's still the highest, that still probably makes him the best, And he put the legwork in.
And if you do it via proposal, you could also invite the contractors to create their own list of work that needs to be done.
Right, I think that would.
One time I offered this. I would let you take my name off my proposal. Erase all the prices. You may use my bid as the specification sheet. I don't care. I'm all about the building, and I'm happy to help you. The other thing you might consider is what you might do in your own home. If the prices are just a little high, you might phase it. You might say, what do I need to do this year, next year, and the following year? And maybe that way you get 3 $24,999 jobs, and you don't have to do the rate. I used to be a supervisor.
Probably shouldn't have said that on TV.
And I don't know that that necessarily gets us around the prevailing wage or the bidding requirements.
I like to put it out just for requests for proposals, you know?
Right.
I don't think it should go, I don't like sending out the bid.
Okay.
And again, the painting would have to be bid separately then, which is more than fine.
Are you intending on bidding the painting?
Yeah, well, only because I know how important it is for the painter and the carpenter to work together. So if I bid the painting and I wasn't the painter, I just hope that we can work together with whoever the painter is and that he's a team player and has done this kind of work before, which is not production work. And the other thing, of course, that's very important is that the lead-based paint act be followed. And of course, that's included in this. Even though no children live in the building, we've still all been certified for the protocol, for the preparation, protection, and cleanup of that. So, you know, your building was most likely restored and rejuvenated back in the 1980s. I can see all the signs of that. Whoever did it did a fabulous job. Most of your shutters are reproduction. They were made fabulously. We'll make them exactly the same way. They just only last so long. So that's why I called it cyclical preservation maintenance. But the painter is a huge part of the job.
Yeah. The question I have then is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is if, you know, maybe do we even want to do a bidding for painter tonight if we're going to be waiting for weeks and weeks and potentially a month or so, 2 months or whatever to get requests for proposals and make a decision? You know, painter, we can have somebody, you know, bid, we could go out to bid tonight on it, or advertise the bid and then not be, you know, award it to somebody and they might not be working right. Or do we just want to wait until we're ready to do everything at once? It doesn't really matter to me. I don't know if it's a plus or minus to that. It just seemed like.
Include the painting, because you're not, a painter's gonna wanna bid this, they're gonna come and they're gonna paint your house. They're not gonna, you know, paint the sashes, then wait for him to finish the sills, to paint the sills so that he can putty this, you know, the glass.
But that's in the bid spec, right? That you're gonna list that in the bid
It is
spec.
in the
That
bid
would,
spec?
that would all be listed in the bid specs. We
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
drafted bid specs yet.
Right.
But that would all be listed.
I mean,
It's gonna be
nobody's
piecework.
do that.
The other thing, of course, you might want to consider is what are you going to pay to write the bid spec?
Not
See,
very
Mr.
much.
Sullivan ate a lot of paint chips as a kid and probably that paint too.
Yeah.
I see Pika. Yes.
Not very much.
So,
They've done the power lines as well.
And again, the painting has to go to competitive bidding, so writing that in the RFP is, but we can write the bid specs so that they're complementary to the RFP.
I guess we could all,
You could always make the RFP and the bid specs due around the same time and then
simultaneously. Right.
evaluate them all at the same time.
People are gonna look at this and how complicated we made it, and they're gonna say, forget it, and we're gonna be back here in a month awarding the bid.
But we tried.
That's fine.
Right, yeah.
And again, if you only get one response to the RFP, you can certainly award it to Mr. Sassett, and he can bid on the painting as well, so.
and your work is certainly weather-related, so that you wouldn't have it done or even started until April. And even if you awarded it to me right now, most of the painting wouldn't be happening till spring. Only the preparation part and some of the priming, because you never want to paint after 4 o'clock in the afternoon with descending temperature below 45 degrees. So, I mean,
I get
so
that in writing from my wife because she wants me to start painting like now.
I'll write you a mommy note. I have mommy notes right here. I'll save it.
So while we're on that subject, what kind of time frame with the work we have are we looking at? Say we don't start till April.
Well, I didn't say we wouldn't start it. I said that the painting part of it wouldn't. So there's a lot of things that can go in process. Number one, all the shutters that would have to be repaired or replaced would be removed from the house. Go to a shop. Work would start over the winter. We take inventory of the sashes that had to be reproduced. They'd go to the mill. Those things take 6 to 12 weeks out just to get in line to have them made. Carpenters can work outside longer than painters can. Preparation by a painter can occur, but the final coat just can't go on, or the base coat really can't go on unless you have good temperature. So as I said to Brian and to the engineer, I forget what is your first name?
Jim.
As I said to Jim on the site, We could get started and do substantial work from November through January, but there may be a time when we just say, we're going to stop for 30 days until, or 40 days, or 80 days until weather conditions allow us to do a professional job. I don't want to be called back in 2 years, you know, so all of our work is warranted for 365 days.
That's fine.
Now, the sump pump, obviously, is something that really isn't historically connected. We
It is not.
could do that.
Anyone can
Yeah,
do that. The
right.
sump pump is really just a matter of, let's not put it through the bulkhead door. Let's put it through some sympathetic little area. Anyone can do that. You don't need me to do that. I was going to do it because you needed it to be done.
Right now, the cellar doors, you know, whatever you call those doors. has
Bulkhead doors.
Bulkhead doors, has a hole drilled in the side with a piece of PV pipe sticking out that drains the sump pump. So it's definitely not period correct for the house. And it's definitely not a high-quality job.
And I believe Mr. Sullivan indicated that Public Works could probably handle that in-house, the replacement of that.
I would think so.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so what's the pleasure of the board, I'm guessing, is to authorize a request for proposals for the exterior repairs, improvements, or for maintenance work at 3 Arches. Mr. Sessa offered to let us use his bid specs, taking off his name, taking off the prices, so that whoever wants to see what they have to do has a very specific, and we're comparing apples to apples. Is that something that we want to do, or would we prefer having anybody that wants to come here do like Mr. Sessa did, which is basically get escorted by Mr. Andrews through the building, they determine what needs to be done, they give us an idea, they put together their own sheet. What's the
I
board's-
think they should come on their own. I think it's very generous of Mr. Sessa to agree to let them use his bid specs, but he's the one that put in all the legwork. And this isn't something we came and asked him. When he walked through, he pointed stuff out that we didn't know needed to be done, that needs to be done. I don't think it's really fair that we,
sounds
even though
fair.
he offered to take his name off and use his bid specs. I think someone should come, walk through with Mr. Andrews or Mr. Sullivan, and tell us what they want to do, what needs to be done. I think
Then it just comes up to, when you do your final evaluation, someone has to be careful enough to read the bids critically
Yes.
and assure that you're comparing them.
Yeah, and in some cases, though, that could help us, is another line of thinking I have, that if we see that there's somebody who comes in very low, but we also see that they've left a lot out, that tells us maybe that they don't have the eye that we're looking for.
And they have to be pre-certified by that organization that he spoke of.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay?
Mr. Sessa spoke.
Is that, so is that what we're doing? Consider, we're going to authorize rather requests for proposals for professionals, companies, individuals who can do the repair work at the 3 Arches Historic Building. Sound good?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and I think we're clear enough on exactly what that's going to entail with our professionals.
Correct, and Mr. Sullivan and I will work together to put that together.
Okay, all right.
Make sure I get a bid chance.
And obviously, I think we want to make sure we've kind of, this has been an issue, as Mr. Dent says, for several years. So, getting it out there quickly, making sure we get it all correct, and then putting it out there as quick as we can, I think
Certainly.
is a good idea. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion then to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Sess, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
And Mr. Andrews, thank you. Okay.
And Mr. Harvey, will there be a separate motion then on the painting for authorization to bid? To advertise bids, I'm sorry.
Do we want to do that? Is that how we want to handle that?
Say it again, what we want to do?
On
The
painting?
exterior painting does have to go out to bid.
It's not a specialty.
But with all the specs of that,
They'll complement each other, yes.
yes.
So we can authorize advertisement and just not advertise yet.
Correct.
Correct, yeah, and we'll advertise both together
When it's
when they're ready.
with the
that's
proper
fine.
time.
Over the next week or two,
All
yeah.
right, so is there is there a motion to authorize advertisement for exterior painting at 3 Arches?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, good discussion. Okay. Okay. All right, item 6 is consider proposal from Boundless Training and Canine Pet Services for dog training in the Falls Township Community Park. Mr. Gray.
Yes, the township has received a proposal from Boundless Canine for training at the Falls Township Community Park Phase 2, located on the peninsula. Here to discuss this item tonight is Jessica Fox from the Park and Rec Department and Miss Katie Brennan.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. As you all know, we have a huge dog population in Falls Township. Mr. Dentz's dog, Clinton, is often our dog ambassador to the parks. One of the things that we're lacking here are dog training opportunities. We have hundreds of dogs in the park every day. We have a dog park. It's a great opportunity for pets and their owners to spend some time outside in one of our quality parks. One of the things that we would like to start offering is training to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to bring their dogs to a safe environment. We had the opportunity of meeting Ms. Brennan, and she is well qualified to provide those services. She has everything in order. We've had some discussions with Mr. Gray and Mr. Andrews, and I'll introduce her now to answer any questions that you might have on the program.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Brennan. I actually live in Bristol Township, right in Oak Tree, and I frequent the park constantly. And that's kind of part of where I got the idea. I've been training professionally for about 4 years now. I'm certified in a couple of different professional organizations, and also fully insured, all that good stuff too. So, and of course, you know, I bring my own dogs there frequently. We walk, we love it. They like to wade in the water. And we actually did, I don't know if any of you were there for that, but through Driftwood Water Adventures, they had a fundraising event through the SPCA, which was paddleboarding with your dog. So I was the trainer they brought in to help with that. So that's kind of part of where I got the idea as well. And then obviously speaking with Miss Fox sort of kind of springboarded it, so.
Okay. All right, so what we're looking to do now, this would be, obviously you're a private company, and essentially you would be offering this to anybody that would be interested, and it would just be using our park as a site for the training.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
And would they, so we're not offering this as part of the Falls Township Park and Rec program. It's just a private, we're just basically allowing you, similar to Driftwood, you know, you want to utilize our park and offer a service for anybody that wants to be there. And I know from the agreement that we have here that there is essentially a split. There would be sort of a financial reimbursement to the township. You know, I know you're looking into, I don't know if you've probably settled on, and if you haven't, that's fine, prices and things of that nature, but I know you did talk about a split, 80-20 split with the township.
Yes.
To basically, so we would be getting reimbursed essentially for the use of our property. So, okay, it sounds like, you know, a good plan. Comments or questions from the board for Ms. Brennan or Ms. Fox? Mr. Galloway?
Sounds like a great idea.
The training be held while the park's open, like while there'll be other dogs?
It wouldn't be using the dog park area at all. It would be a totally separate thing. All dogs would be on leash, which is huge. So no off-leash dogs, not using the dog park. So the dog park is free and clear and, yeah, not affected at all.
Thanks.
Would it be on the peninsula, right?
Yes.
Okay.
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 No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, I wish everybody could train their dogs, and it would be a much better world, especially to walk in the park. You know, I would love to walk my dog off the leash, but you can't. And not everybody lets their dogs, or trains their dogs as well as others do. But I think it's a great idea.
Okay. All right, yeah, I don't have any questions. I think it's a great idea as well. Look through all the materials that you sent, and I don't know if there's any, don't imagine there's any public comment. So we don't have much of a public here that isn't, yes, getting paid to be here. So I guess at this point, we'll just, we have an agreement here that we are, I'll turn to Ms. Gallagher for some guidance.
Certainly.
We're approving the agreement? Is that what it is?
It'll be approving the proposal subject to finalization of the agreement with the solicitor's office. Ms. Brennan hasn't seen this yet, so I'll have to work with her to make sure that the terms are acceptable. But you'll be approving the proposal subject to the finalization of that agreement.
Ms. Gallagher, she has seen it.
Oh, okay.
I forwarded it to her earlier so that she could forward that to her legal staff.
Perfect.
And she has it, and it is being reviewed as we.
Okay.
Is it a one-year agreement?
It's a one-year agreement, and it automatically terminates at the end of 1 year, and then we can see next year.
Okay.
When would this start, in April, I guess, or in the spring?
Probably best to wait till spring. I don't think we'll get, especially with the time changes and, yeah, I don't think we'll get a whole lot come winter, so.
Okay.
Clinton loves dog training group sessions.
Clinton's going to school?
No, he's very well trained already, but he's...
He is?
He just doesn't know how to shut up. He's a very vocal dog.
No, can't imagine where he learned that from.
Richie's loving this.
So, all right, so let me see if I can get this right. All right, so we're, a motion will be made then by someone, I'm assuming, to approve the proposal for boundless training and canine pet services for dog training in the Falls Township Community Park, subject to finalization of the agreement with the Township Solicitor's Office.
Correct.
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
He
you.
was better at paddle boarding than I was, actually.
You'd be surprised.
Just sat there, I had a balance.
All right, okay, you're up to minutes, item number 7 of our agenda, and minutes for September 15th, 2015. Any corrections or suggestions?
I wasn't at the meeting, but I did watch it. And it seemed accurate, excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
All right, is there a motion then to approve the minutes as presented for September 15th, 2015?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, executive session, we don't have a need for an executive session. Manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Yes, just a few items tonight. The township received a letter dated August 17th from Land and Sea for the release of the remaining funds in their escrow account. Total amount remaining is $5,529.45. The work has been completed to the satisfaction of T&M Associates. At this time, the board is asked to consider releasing $5,529.45 to Land and Sea Forest Products.
Okay. Questions or no? Okay, is there a motion then to approve the escrow release for Land and Sea?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Braskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Township also received a letter dated August 31st from Peruzzi for release of their remaining funds in their escrow accounts. Total amount remaining is $4,446.64. This work also hasn't been completed to the satisfaction of T&M Associates. The board is asked to consider releasing $4,446.64 to Peruzzi.
Okay, comments or questions?
No.
All right, is there a motion then to approve the escrow release for Peruzzi?
So moved?
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Braskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
During the 2010, 2012, and 2013 road programs, many trees were removed from the areas located between the sidewalk and curbs. Residents who lost trees were given the opportunity to receive another tree at the township's expense to be located on the house side of the sidewalk. A total of 28 trees have been requested. The township has received 3 quotes for this purchase. They are Marazzo's for $16,630, WDB Landscaping, $10,500, and Greenscape Landscaping for $13,300. The board is asked to consider WDB Landscaping for the purchase of 28 trees for $10,500.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from Mr. Sullivan?
No.
No?
WDB is the low bidder. They are the township landscaper now. They do an excellent job.
Yeah. Okay, so we've used them before, I believe, in a couple situations, right? I mean, it's
Yes, second year, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, then, is there a motion to approve or accept the quote from WDB Landscaping, $10,500 for the purchase of trees from the 2010, 2012, 2013 road programs?
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Braskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Currently, the township has a land development application with the Brickman Group. The Brickman Group did request an extension on this project until October 20th of this month. Recently, the township received an email stating that the Brickman Group will not be requesting an extension of time on this application, which would result in the termination of their application. They are not going to proceed with the project. The township has requested a formal withdrawal, but at this time has not received it. And based on this, the Board of Supervisors is asked to deny the project for the Brickman Group.
Okay. All right, it's sort of an odd circumstance. I don't ever remember this happening before.
It's just to make it go away.
Yeah, typically if a business does, once they end their project, they submit a formal letter on letterhead that says we're formally withdrawing the project and there's nothing for us to do. Or they ask for a letter of extension, which they haven't really done either of those, like formally. It's
Nothing
sort of
formally, just email.
Just email, and so if they want the project to end, then I guess we look for a motion to deny the project. Is there a motion then to deny the?
So moved.
Second.
Let's make sure we're doing this. Is this proper format here, Mr. Sullivan and Ms. Gallagher?
We probably should do this by resolution.
Okay.
We typically do land development approval or denial by
All
resolution.
right, so resolution would be
1526.
1526, resolution 2015-26 would deny the land development project of Brickman.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Second.
Deny.
Motion
Okay.
to deny.
Motion to deny is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Just a few announcements. There will be a free bulk disposal day to be held on October 17th. This will be from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. For resident homeowners of Falls Township and Tullytown Borough. Proof of residency is required. It is not intended for commercial customers or contractors. It'll be at Groves Landfill behind Waste Management's Turkey Hill office, located at 1000 New Ford Mill Road in Falls Township. Items that would be acceptable would be bulky waste items, yard waste, and appliances. Please note the following materials cannot be accepted, including liquids, oil, paint, car batteries, propane tanks, gas cylinders, hazardous household waste, tires, chemicals, pesticides, and spray cans. No refrigerators, air conditioners, or freezers, and no electronics, including TVs, computer equipment, stereo equipment, or any other electrical item that plugs in or operates on batteries. For additional information, please call Waste Management at 1-800-869-5566. And finally, just a notice to potential wreckers. Any wrecker desiring to be licensed under the ordinance as an on-call wrecker for the year 2016 must file the appropriate application with the Township Manager of Falls Township on or before November 30th, 2015. All licenses will be issued for the calendar year 2016 and shall require a reapplication from year to year to maintain the annual on-call wrecker license granted by the Township. Prospective applicants may acquire license application packets from the Township Manager's office, located at 188 Lincoln Highway, Suite 100 in Fairless Hills, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 4:30 p.m. Copies of the on-call wrecker ordinance may be acquired at the Township Manager's office or at the Township website at www.fallstwp.com. Please contact the Township Manager at 215-949-9000 with any questions. And that's all I have. Thank you.
You are the Township Manager.
Yes, well.
All right, thank you. Okay, up to board comment. We'll start with Mr. Dents.
I have no comment tonight.
Okay, Mr. Boraski.
Yeah, just a reminder that Fallsington Day is this Saturday. It's 10:10. It's a nice day out for everybody's family. I know I'm there every year. Usually everybody is. I have to be there every year. Also, you know, I know everybody has their stuff out, but I'm going to just put a plug in for the school. There's games, crafts, food. The school usually has their event set up from 10 to 4:30, and all proceeds benefit directly to the kids in the school and the PTO. Okay. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Galloway?
No comments tonight.
Okay, thank you. Just want to mention one thing here. Levittown Fire Company number 1, Saturday the 17th is having, and he seems like he's there a lot. Maybe he should volunteer for the fire company. Jerry Blavitt, the Geeter with the Heater, is going to be at Levittown Fire Company on the 17th of October. Advance tickets are $35 each. For more information, please call 215-791-1309 or 215-945-4231. Again, that's October 17th at the Levittown Fire Company, number 1 on Falls Town Road. And finally, just want to, we've had some discussion and conversation with residents, especially in Thornridge, about water problems they're having with Lower Bucks Joint, that some parts of the Thalleybush, or some parts of Thornridge rather, water's been orange and brown, and it's been, Lower Bucks Joint's been trying to figure out a solution, and was told today that they were out today on Thalleybush, replacing, ripping up sort of sidewalks and streets and aprons, basically trying to put in new pipe to fix that problem. And so we thank them for their work. Hopefully this addresses the problem. We had a meeting with them, with their director and a couple of their employees here a couple weeks ago, to make sure that they were aware of, we would want to see where they were with this problem. And they told us they're going to be moving to try and do something, and I'm glad to see they are. So hopefully that solved the problem over there. With a lot of issues, and this is something I'm seeing, we had just a couple emails about other problems. If there's some kind of issue you're having with water, we've had a couple complaints recently about mosquitoes in Willowwood. If there's something going on in your neighborhood and you're not really, you think it's a problem, whether it's a police issue or a code enforcement issue, I think a lot of people just assume that we know what's going on. I've even had people say, well, how come you guys haven't fixed that problem over on such and such street? I said, well, what problem? Well, you have to know it's there. I said, well, did you call somebody? Did you call the code? Oh, no. Well, I just figured you'd know about it. Well, and we don't. And it's one of the things where we have a lot of good people that work here. We had, obviously, Fire Marshal was here, and he has a great staff, and our code enforcement staff is good. Obviously, police department's great, but they still can't be everywhere and see everything. And so if there is some kind of an issue like that, the issue in Thornridge, I know I had some people saying, like, well, it's been this way for a while, but they weren't necessarily calling anybody about it. So, I mean, it's not going to get fixed. And for Lower Bucks Joint, their issue was trying to figure out, this house would have a problem, the house next to it maybe wouldn't have a problem. And another house across the street would have the problem, and another house some 3 streets away would have a problem, and trying to isolate what the problem was, and they just needed more information. And so hopefully this solves the issue. But thank you for those people that spoke out and those people that helped get it addressed by Lower Bucks Joint. And I hope it's getting the end of our daylight savings time, so pretty soon be turning another month or so, turning the clocks forward and losing a little bit of sunlight, but it just gets us closer to Christmas, I guess, is the way I always look at it. So, and then that's closer to spring, and then then we're in summer again. So that's the way I like to look at it. So thank you very much, everybody. It's a good meeting, I think. Did some good work as always, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.